Hi, this is Danny Hicks from some of the best bad movies you've ever seen. And you're listening to the Tim-O and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Tim-O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim-O and Harley Show. I am Tim-O. Over there's my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben the halter top Harley.
That's me, yeah.
You're tubular. You wrap around things. So, Mr. Ben Harley, listen, for all the deep thinkers, 106% of you people are deep thinkers. So you've already detected that Ben Harley sounds like he is transmitting from space, from the space shuttle, Mr. Ben Harley. So, actually, his microphone is on the fritz.
Yes.
And now that the country has decided to wake up a little bit from the COVID, now Ben Harley has more work than he can throw a stick at.
Yeah,
so
I can keep up with.
Right. So he needs to. He's got the dough because of all the work, but now he needs the time to go grab himself a microphone. So we are going to have a live remote from the Ben Harley space station.
Yes.
So how does the Earth look from up there, Mr. Ben Harley?
Flat.
Yeah. I hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
Try the 3D goggles. It helps.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It looks more roundish.
Right. So yes, you're back to work. You're starting to work hard again, and now everything's backed up instantly, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we've had some issues around my dad took another fall, so we've had some issues, and I haven't been able to devote as much time as I'd like to. 24 hours a day of work. I can only devote 12. Maybe,
right.
Yeah, so no, it's been a little bit slower going than I'd like, but it's okay. My dad's back on the mend.
Good.
So, it was a little hard. We had a little munchkin, Sydney, down here for a couple of days too.
Boy.
So, yeah, it's kind of hard working with the toddler.
Yeah, she's tough when she's helping. She's tough when she's helping, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she's a good one.
Yeah. So, on a little bit of a somber note here, wanted to mention something on the show that I don't want to talk about much and don't even want to say. But our third wheel in mind crime, our pal, Mr. Danny Hicks, has been diagnosed with cancer. And it's bad cancer. That's all I'm really going to say about it. Not that there's good cancer. It's not good, but we are going to soldier on.
That's
Mr.
right.
Danny Hicks will be doing some treatments, and hopefully that'll help him out. So we are going to send all of our thoughts, our prayers, vibes, whatever it is in 2020 you send people saying, I got this, I'm with you. So all of our support is squarely behind Mr. Danny Hicks, and if there's any help or anything else that he needs that us and 106% of our deep thinking audience could help with, we'll let everybody know. So our best wishes to Mr. Danny Hicks. And
we love you, buddy.
Yes, we love him very much. And he truly is a third wheel in mind crime. If he was anywhere near, he'd probably be on every week with us and be a co-host. Boy, wouldn't that be fun to edit?
That would be fun, huh? For you.
I got the old Detroit guy, and I got the Toledo guy trying to wrestle with my rationale and my editing skills. Yeah. It
would be a lot of fun, though. It would be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're very jarred to hear this about our good friend Danny, but we are going to support him, and we are going to soldier forward with him during this adventure, this journey. That's unfortunately all of us know too well. Most of us do as well. So
it's touched a lot of our lives. And
yes.
Cancer sucks.
Yes, it's absolutely. I'm about tired of it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and well wishes, Mr. Danny Hicks.
Yes, sir. We love you, buddy, and we're thinking about you.
Absolutely. So let us. And what would Mr. Danny Hicks want us to do right now? Get the show on the road for the love of all that's holy. Stop worrying about me. Let's move forward. That's what we will do for our pal, Mr. Danny Hicks. So let's get to stuff that we watched this week. And of course, I'm going to start off here, Mr. Ben Harley. I got a little bit backed up. I'm going to see if I can do some rushing through this. I think I can.
Okay,
so, speaking of Mr. Danny Hicks, from 1995, we watched Darkman 2.
Part 2.
Yeah, Darkman 2, The Return of Durant. And I mentioned Danny Hicks because Danny Hicks should have been in that movie.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, his character didn't even die in the first one.
No.
They filmed it, but they threw it on the editing room floor, the cutting room floor, as they call it. But no, it brings back Larry Drake and then Arnold Vosloo, who played the Mummy in the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, takes over the role of Darkman.
Okay,
I actually enjoy this film.
Okay. I can't remember it right offhand. I can't, and I think I've seen it. I'm almost positive.
Well, the sequels went direct to video. So Darkman was theatrical and everything. And then there's two sequels. There's Darkman and Darkman 3. Darkman 3, Jeff Fahey plays the bad guy. And it was funny. They were supposed to bring Larry Drake back. I think Sam Raimi announced that Larry Drake was coming back, and he did not come back. So I guess Larry and Danny both got cut out of the story, I suppose. But yeah, so anyway, I enjoyed it. Darkman is a strange. The thing with Darkman with me is that I think in the first one, me and Danny have actually talked about this. Everything's great. I wish Bruce would have played Darkman. And Bruce Campbell. And apparently
it's brooding, I guess. Were they maybe going for that because of Batman at the time? I don't know.
It was kind of I think he wanted to make either Spider-Man or Batman. He did make Spider-Man, but I think Raimi wanted to do like a Batman or something. They wouldn't let him, so he kind of created his own version of it in a way.
And that's how I felt. And I didn't know if I was just thinking that, but that's how I had always felt a little bit.
Right.
Just cool though. I'm all right with that.
Well, and the thing is I always thought Liam Neeson was horribly miscast in that.
Yeah,
and I always thought it should have been Bruce Campbell.
Qui-Gon.
Well, I always think. Well, here's the thing: Bruce Campbell was supposed to play Darkman in the sequels, if you remember the very end of Darkman turns around in his fake skin, and it is Bruce Campbell. So he went from being Liam Neeson to being Bruce Campbell. And then that was supposed to be... So not even Bruce... So Danny wasn't in Darkman 2, neither was Bruce. So I don't know what the hell happened, So, I still think it's a fun movie and I'm being honest with you because my instincts are not to like it because our friends aren't in it. But Larry Drake was in it. He was a great guy. But I mean, and he's good in it. It's just as good as he is in the first one. But it was fun to watch. Universal put out like a trilogy Blu-ray that I got. So I'll be watching Darkman 3. I haven't watched that for quite a while. So we'll see. But Darkman 2 is kind of fun. So let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley. From I'm going to go with from 1992. I'm going to stick in the 90s. How about that? So from 1992, we watched Alien 3.
Ooh,
yeah. Okay. So this is a tough one, Mr. Ben Harley. I always wanted to like Alien 3, and I never did. And
I kind of have a hard time. I mean, it's got its moments.
Yeah,
it does. It really does. Has some good moments, but I feel you kind of. I just don't know what to do with it. Like,
right.
It's got great actors.
Yeah,
great actors. But I just don't. I don't know. Because as much as I love Alien and especially Aliens, it just didn't feel like that for me. Well, I feel probably that's what happened with a lot of people after the first one. As much as I like Aliens, I think that had a drop off for others too because it came more of an action film. And I think this one tried to go back to the original a little bit, but just
it seemed like it tried to take elements from the first one and the second one and took the wrong elements and mixed them together, and then you came with because it's kind of a lifeless movie. It's not. It's a drag. It's a drag, really. And it was shot really dark, too. And so it's a drag. It's dark. I don't like the end. I think it falls apart. I think it's kind of interesting. And then as the movie progresses toward the end, look, let's just get this out of the way. I don't like Sigourney Weaver. And we all know this. I don't like her. I think she's I got more Sigourney this week, by the way, too. And I don't like her. As I'm getting older, I realized she might be a very good actress. I don't like her though. I don't find her magnetic. It's not about attractiveness or something like that, which I don't find her attractive either, but it's not that. I just don't like her. I don't think I would like her in real life. Like she doesn't she's not appealing to me. Like, I don't like her. I don't like to watch her. And I just don't know. It's almost like, I think in Alien 3, well, first of all, she's also a producer on Alien 3.
Okay.
So she started kind of getting her fingers into it more.
Yeah.
At that point.
Well, I think what I didn't like about it really, and it had to pretty much went right back to the beginning of the movie is, okay, so in part 2, with Newt, you fell in love with Newt, you want her to save Newt, and she goes into the lair of the queen and gets Newt back and all that, and then at the end of this one, they crash landed and everybody died but her.
Right.
Oh man, I was mad. I was mad about Newt dying. I really was.
Right.
And Bishop. I was like, oh, kaboo. No.
Right.
And it just threw me off, man. It really did. I'm like, but she survives. Man, I just was mad. I don't know. Does that make sense?
The producer always survives, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was talking to Angie about when we were watching. I said it basically takes it, like the second one at least picks up right off of Alien.
Yeah.
This one didn't need to be called Alien.
No.
It could have been called anything because it wants to immediately erase the first or the second one almost.
Yeah.
In a way. And so what it does is it takes the bigger, tougher cast of part 2 and tries to wrap it up into a quieter, darker, somber, gothic type thing of the first film.
I would have rather Sigourney Weaver died and Bishop died and Newt was still around or something. Or what, I would have preferred that. Now that sounds mean or whatever, but I just don't like how it started. And I think for me, that's what really, I never felt comfortable about the movie in the first place. So I think that was one of the reasons I haven't or don't really gravitate towards that.
Look, let's just put it this way. This is a movie where it really became about Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, and at the end, she dives into a flaming pile of lava. And at the end, I looked over and told Angie, well, we'll have to watch part 4 because Sigourney Weaver is also in part 4.
Yeah.
And she just looked at me like, I said, yes. I said, yes. So this is the problem that a lot of people have with these movies.
Yeah.
I said, it got silly. It started off so well. And Aliens, I enjoy Aliens. Yeah. It's just not the same movie to me.
It's not. It's not. And it took me a while as I got older to realize that. But I just think I was so happy to see the aliens finally get some ass whippings of their own, from the Marines. Mm-hmm. But then again, you're like, oh man, there's how many of these now? That for me was, plus I liked the character, especially of Newt and how she survived and how, Bill Paxton, I became a big fan of him because of that movie.
Right.
I like Aliens, but it's not the first one. The first one too is like, first one's icky to me. It's just icky.
It's a horror film.
I feel gross watching it, man. Just the slime and everything, and the way that movie affected me as a kid. There's very few other movies that had that effect on me.
Right.
And still to this day. Well,
right. Well,
it's great though, and it's a good paced movie. You're right. It's a horror film.
Yeah, it's a horror film. The second one's an action. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then this one doesn't know what it wants to be. And I think that's a problem. And then the fourth one goes back to being just a goofy action movie that's just silliness. But anyway, it was a shot. It was just a throw a dart at the wall movie we threw in. Let's see. Well, sticking with Sigourney Weaver, since I mentioned that, we also from 1988. I just wanted to mention this for a certain reason. We watched Gorillas in the Mist.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, it's Sigourney again. I'm watching and I'm thinking like, this is a good movie. I remember really enjoying this when it came out. Ooh, boy, you want to see a drama not hold up?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I mean, Sigourney Weaver, like the moment that she starts trying to imitate the apes, you just pull yourself out and go, oh, she's acting. She's shooting for an Oscar. Oh, God, she's acting, and that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And I think it shows it shows that a lot more in 2020 than it did in 1988. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I'll give it that. And it ends up being a silly movie to me. It becomes a silly movie. And if you remember too, the one interesting thing to do is to watch it and then go, real apes, Rick Baker apes. Real apes, Rick Baker apes, because they edit them together. Like 1 second's a real ape, next second's a Rick Baker ape. And I mean, I was sitting there in Angie, I was like, that's fake, that's real, that's fake, that's fake, that's real. And so they did a great job of editing it together, but there's moments like where there's like a baby gorilla and it looks like Mac and Me or something, you know, it just looks like it's awful. It's like, oh God, it's like, it looks like a Muppet. It's like a little Muppet thing. So I'm like, oh, come on, man. So it kind of pulled me out of it. But here's the interesting thing. Let's just pull the movie didn't hold up to me. Let's just put it that way. It's got its moments, but it gets silly and overly dramatic and blah. And then you got Sigourney, who I don't like. Okay, so there's that. Yeah. There is one interesting part of this, though. And this is the movie, and I didn't bother like really digging in to see if this timeline was exactly accurate. But when she went to go study those gorillas, it took her 6 weeks to see anything that looked like a monkey. Yeah, and you know, they're there. You know, so it's a Bigfoot thing. It's a Bigfoot thing where it's like I went out. I go hunting. I never seen this. She lived in there for 6 weeks and didn't see anything but like big insects and stuff, you know, and military guys, stuff like that, you know. So it's just another interesting thing. It's like that doesn't mean anything. Things hide, you know. Yes.
Especially if they don't want to be seen, man, or they don't know who you or what you are,
right?
Or if, you know, or if they know what you are. It's, Tim, I think a lot, you know, in nature, there's always something larger trying to eat something. You know what I mean? And so you always got to be on your toes, man. You always got to, you know, like you always.
Oh yeah.
So you're hiding a lot. Yeah, you know, it's interesting, like, because I've watched some of those. The Woods Are Haunted lately, and there's been a lot of Bigfoot stuff, paranormal caught on tape, and it's a lot of times this same thing. The guy said, "I've been here, I've lived here all my life. I've never seen anything," but he had done a controlled fire. Or a controlled burn on it, you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he, you know, brush fire. So it wouldn't grow and he'd have an actual real bad fire. So
right. Understood. Yeah. Getting rid of the underbrush.
Yeah. And he never saw it. Someone else saw it later on when they watched his video. But there was like a bipedal person or thing running.
Right.
And it jumped and ran and got out of there. Mm-hmm. And like he said, he goes, I've never seen, and he said it, I've been in the woods all my life. I've never seen a panther, a cougar, or a Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And I might have caught one on tape, you know. But this guy was truthful. He said, I've been out in the woods my entire life, but I've never seen these three things. Mm-hmm. But, you know, and there's cougars out there. And Tim, you think you saw a panther, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, I did. See? And we've seen more articles over. There's been articles about people starting to see cougars now up in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Chicago, not like I'm pretty rural. I mean, we're talking about up in Chicago. And the thing is, too, is that little sense that maybe I was wrong has been starting to get holes punched into it by people around me, because now we have seen 3 bobcats out here, and we are not far from civilization. And I know they're just bobcats. They're just bobcats. I know. I understand that. But my dad has lived out here for 30. Well, my dad's lived out here for 30 years. He spent almost all of his time out in the woods, spraying honeysuckle, doing stuff. He's never seen anything like that. We've lived here for like 2.5 years. We've seen 3. You know, so
and it just depends. You never know. You really never know. And like this guy was saying, he wasn't saying, "Well, I don't believe it," because he didn't even mean to catch it on tape. But like he was saying, you know, like but you never know. Right. You never really know. Like, and I swear to you. It's so much more, and it's funny because a lot of these sightings that happen like this are stuff that we just it's caught. Someone, oh my God, did you see that in your video? No, I never saw anything. Yeah, go back and look at this frame at this time, and oh my God, there is something. You know what I mean? It's so,
but there's also the part of like, okay, so if it's not a Bigfoot, if it's a gorilla, what the fuck's a gorilla doing in Ohio?
Yeah,
you know, so there's a whole lot of whats and ifs and stuff going on. Yeah,
right.
Well, moving on, Mr. Ben Harley, from the gorillas in the mist.
Gorillas.
I'm going to swerve it back from Alien 3 into something else that we watched from the 90s. It's very close to that. I guess the connection would be H.R. Giger more than anything else, but we watched Species.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So I got to see Natasha Henstridge. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
And, you know...
Thanks for just mentioning that.
Moving on.
Moving on, yeah.
It's okay. It's kind of the same thing. I like the movie, and then by the end of it kind of falls apart. A lot of movies from back then had intriguing first halves, and then they all devolved into about the same thing. Into some kind of mildly CG action sequences.
Yes.
And that's what kind of happened with this film. It's almost like they keep throwing really cool story at you, and then by the end they said, okay, there's the story, now we're going to throw shit at you. Now we're going to have bells and whistles. And that seemed to be kind of a 90s trope in a way.
Sure.
But it was okay. It was all right. And wasn't mad I watched it or anything.
They've done a lot of those. Do they do 3 or 4 of them?
It's like there's 4 at least. Yeah. Yep. So I know this. I know the second one has a lot of Natasha Henstridge in it. We're just going to move forward out of that.
Go with what works, right?
Right, exactly. So let's see. Moving forward, Mr. Ben Harley, from 1983. Watched. Here's one that you might. I'm going to say this because I think you probably haven't heard about this movie since you were a kid, and so it's always fun to say things like this. But I watched Gorky Park.
Oh, really?
Do you remember Gorky Park when you were a kid? Yeah, I watched Gorky Park with Lee Marvin, Brian Dennehy, and William Hurt, who I like to refer to as Bill Ouch. It was all right. Gorky Park's kind of a convoluted spy thriller, but it is okay. And Bill Ouch was pretty good at it. Let's see here. Moving forward from 2015, watch Deathgasm. It's a movie from New Zealand about death metal kids who summon up demons. It is exactly a cross between Trick or Treat, the 80s movie Trick or Treat, and the Evil Dead. And it was even the director and everybody said, yes, this was my ode to the Evil Dead. So it's like, but you really do mash in metalheads and metal kids into it. It's a fun movie, but there was one, and for 2015, it was good. It wasn't American, so that helps. It was from New Zealand. But there was this one line in it, and I don't know if you ever played Dungeons and Dragons or not. You know, we all bust ourselves out. Guys who played bust ourselves out in the worst ways, and mine was this. They were talking about stuff, and 2 guys got into a fight, and the one guy walked away, and the kid said, "It's okay. He's chaotic neutral. You're lawful good." And I had to rewind it and watch it and started laughing again because there's only people who play D&D understand what that meant. So your character had a personality, had strength, dexterity, and all this stuff. Well, your personality was chaotic evil, chaotic good, meaning you're nuts, but you're decently a good person. Well, chaotic neutral means you play both sides of the fence and you're wild and unpredictable. And lawful good means you're a Betsy Wetsy schoolgirl, as you call it. So I thought this was pretty funny. I liked it. I thought it was good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's called Deathgasm. You'll probably catch it streaming somewhere. I think you would enjoy it. There's even a joke about King Diamond in it. Somebody says, would you do step on his King Diamond record? You know, or something like that. So there's lots of little jokes like that are pretty good.
I love it.
Yeah. Let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley. I went a little mini 2015 freak out. So that's the first 2015 movie. The second 2015 movie was Frankenstein. Okay, so there was a version of Frankenstein put out in 2015 with Danny Houston and Carrie Ann Moss from The Matrix in it.
Oh, okay.
It's a modern telling of Frankenstein. Remember, this is a modern horror film, right? And
right, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, even Frankenstein managed to be more depressing
than ever.
Let's hear it for the modern flicks. It ends up being more depressing than a goddamn book. Jeez,
man.
It's very faithful. It's as far as it being in modern times, it's very faithful to the book, you know, but it's still in modern times. So instead of a blind person living in a hut out in the woods, he finds a blind homeless blues guy played by Mr. Candyman himself, Tony Todd.
Oh,
actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Tony Todd.
And it was speaking of Candyman, it was directed, and this really hurt. Actually, it was directed by Bernard Rose, who directed Candyman, but he also directed Immortal Beloved, one of my favorite films. Yeah. So, but I don't want to watch a depressing. No, it is depressing. It's a little.
I depressed myself enough. I don't need anything else to help.
Don't watch the 2015 Frankenstein. And a lot of Frankenstein versions came out right around that time. This is just one of them.
Okay. Yeah.
So my last adventure into 2015, 5 years ago, my last adventure was, believe it or not, the 2015 version of Fantastic Four, which got completely panned and everything and made fun of. Yeah. And I sat there and watched it going, I don't see what's worse about this than anything else I see about the comic. It definitely, speaking of suits you don't like, Ben Grimm's naked in it, so there is no suit with him. Look, here's the thing. I think what happened was the director, they took the director's movie and they recut it. The studio did. Yeah. And they took like 40 minutes out of it. I'm okay with that. Okay. I really don't. I don't care, to be honest with you. Sure. But I think they made this movie. Fantastic Four, like, this happens all the time to this little franchise idea. Fox had to make a movie in order to hold on to the rights. Sure. This is exactly what happened with Corman. Yeah. That Fantastic Four movie that was never released, they just made a movie to hold on to the rights because it was part of the deal. You have to make a movie or else you lose the rights. Right. So that's what Fox did with this movie, with the Fantastic Four. And I'm like, was it bad? Yeah, it was I don't know.
Yeah, it's just I don't know how many challenge you can do of it. You know what I mean? Like, and it just falls on its face every time. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know.
I actually thought, honestly though, dude, seriously, I thought this was better than the last ones that came out with, came out like before. I thought it was better. But then again, I'm not I don't have a lot of invested in the Fantastic Four franchise, so I was just kind of watching it.
Except for Dr. Doom. I'm a big Dr. Doom fan.
Well, he's interesting in this. He is interesting in this. I think you'd find it interesting. Let's see here. What else we got? Okay, from 2020. Yeah. All right, I'm going to want to talk to you about this for a minute. Yeah. There's two things I want to talk to you about here that have something to do with wrestling. Ooh, all right? First up, on Amazon Prime, there is a documentary called Magnums Opus.
Okay.
It is a documentary about Magnum CK from the AIW from Cleveland. Huh. And he's a heel from Cleveland. And I'm telling you what, again, Magnums Opus, you need to watch this. This guy is a old-fashioned heel. An old-fashioned Ric Flair type of, lordy. Good. He is the guy cuts classic promos. He went to New York City in Times Square and cut a promo where he's just eating an ice cream. He did this from AIW, from Cleveland. Like, this isn't WWE kind of stuff or whatever. Yeah. So, unfortunately, he's got a lot of back issues. He actually got spinal bifida, not the one you're born with, I think, but the one. Yeah. Well, that's kind of spinal bifida where you have like the dimples in your back.
Yeah. Well, some of it is, it's to different degrees. So some are higher or lower on the back. Mm-hmm. Like with Ruby's, hers was actually in a sack outside of her back. You know, it was like actually protruding out in a sack, which they had to put back. Now, because there are some people that have it, but don't really have issues too much with it as far as like, it's just, they have it.
Right.
It's not
and
like
that was his problem, but the wrestling hurt it. The wrestling exasperated everything really bad. I want you to watch this documentary and then we'll talk some more on it because I think you're really going to like this documentary. And I was wondering if you knew who he was just because he wrestled all over Ohio. So,
it sounds, and if I see him, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a great look to him. He's got a great gimmick. It's just great. It was cool. And I would watch this guy. He's a funny wrestler. He's the kind of guy that has funny moves when he gets punched and stuff. Like Ric Flair did the old kick your leg back and fall on your face. He's totally the same guy. He sold Hornswoggle's moves like Barry Horowitz wrestling the Giant. Okay. I mean, it was, I'm serious. He was great. It was a great little documentary. So, and basically what the documentary does is it's his speech in the ring when he's retiring. And so they play like a couple minutes of his speech and then they break in with some documentary stuff and then cut back to his speech and then go back to documentary stuff. So
that sounds cool.
Yeah. So Magnums Opus, good to watch. Another wrestling thing, Mr. Ben Harlan, this is last up for me. But another wrestling thing I think you watched also. We have been talking about the television program on Vice Land.
Yes, sir.
Called Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
And this last one we watched was the UWF and Herb Abrams. Ooh. So let me set this up just a little. Herb Abrams was this, as they called him a mark. I might let you explain that a little bit. A wrestler would call a mark someone who is someone they could take advantage of.
Sure.
Someone they could in a
either
way
in the business or in the fan.
Right.
Anything.
So this was a guy who had a lot of money that wanted to pay wrestlers a lot of money to start his own wrestling organization.
And he was like a wrestling fan.
He was a fan. He wasn't in the business. He was just a fan. So he wanted to just jump in head first, and he wanted to pay these wrestlers a lot of money and get his own thing going, run the whole show and everything without any experience.
Be part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And he wanted to basically be part of the WWF. He wanted to be either alongside or join up with Vince McMahon. He had these wild
or to try
dreams.
to destroy him. Yeah.
Yes. He had these wild dreams, either competing, joining, or destroying or whatever. It's a little bit of booger sugar got in the way. Some cocaine got in the way. Hookers.
Cocaine and hookers. Yeah.
What'd you think, Harley? What'd you think of that episode?
It was
a good one.
And I knew a little bit about him. I don't know a lot about him, and
he's in LA, right? Was he based?
Yeah,
he was like a West Coast guy where Vince was the East Coast. So he wanted to do like a West Coast thing, and Vince would be.
He actually approached Vince about that. Said, how about if I, and Vince laughed at him and said, yeah, beat it, get out of here. So then after that, that's when he said, well, I'm going to try to destroy McMahon, But I tell you what, he had a great stable of wrestlers, and a lot of them weren't so much on the upswing anymore. They were on their downswing of their careers, but a lot of them had just left the WWE.
Yeah, they had names though, Cactus Jack and Mick Foley, basically. Yeah, people like that. Yeah,
you had a lot of great wrestlers that he was bringing in, and a lot of them, like I said, were either had left the WWE or whatever. But I tell you, I would have watched those. That was some of the best stable of wrestlers for me. Like you put in Sid Vicious, and you say Cactus Jack, it's Dr. Death, and but it's just it looked like something that was fun, Well,
it looked like it was big enough where wrestlers were using it as leverage against Vince McMahon. And let me tell you something. Yeah. I think they all learned a lesson from that with the WCW when it came around. They started fighting because what happened was Andre the Giant made an appearance in UWF to scare Vince because I guess Vince didn't want to pay Andre. Yeah. Andre said, "Fine, I'll go where they pay me." So he went and he made an appearance, and as soon as he made that appearance on UWF, Vince McMahon re-signed him.
Called him right back.
So the wrestlers learned something about that. Watch your money. Yep. Get the money. Go where the money is, and stuff. And I think that's how WCW got so big so quick, is that I think the wrestlers all knew, hey, remember Herb Abrams?
Yeah.
Hey, let's do this. So,
Yeah. And that guy, he, I think he just shook up a lot of people. Now, it's funny to have this documentary because you got some people talking like, oh my God, he scared me so bad. And like, dude, I guarantee you, if that guy showed up at your hotel room with some high-class hookers and some high-class cocaine, you weren't sitting there like, oh, no, please, no. Yeah, stop. No, I've never. No,
there was a little bit of that. Yeah,
come on, dude. Come on, you guys. It's like, come on now. Don't, come on.
I'm just a little wrestler. I don't know about these things.
I'm a bad guy manager. I don't know. I'm scared. I'm just from, come on, man.
Right.
Now, so I took some of that with a grain of salt because, not everybody's a cokehead. Not everybody wants to blow it out and party and do hookers and stuff, but you can't lie to me. Like, I took a lot of that stuff they were saying, with a little grain of salt.
Sure.
But that guy sounded pretty crazy, though. Like, I think that guy could have done something. But like you were saying, too, the cocaine and the hookers got in the way. And, like, you're promising a lot of people stuff, but then when the promises didn't happen, you get yourself in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. Well, I guess I do know how because I deal with a promoter that's about a jackass himself. But this guy had a lot more money and a lot more connections and things going on than the guy that I'm speaking of, and still could only put 200 people in the building. Wait a second. Now, something's wrong because they could have come to little old Podunk, Toledo, Ohio. But if you would have brought those name wrestlers and put that on 2 or 3 billboards or even on some telephone poles around town, you'd have had 5,000 people at that show. Right. 5,000.
Right.
Because of who was on the card. And I'm thinking to myself, where was he putting this money except for up his nose and to hookers? Because how do you have that talent pool and can only draw 200 people like the
and he didn't care. That was the thing too. Is like he just wanted these shows to go off. He wanted them to.
And he thought, well, this is just the beginning. It'll happen. It'll get going more. No, I'd have been at that point. Only drawing that many, I'd have thought something's wrong because just those names alone should have drawn a couple hundred people a piece.
Right.
I mean, the names of the guys that were on these cards, like, come on, man. So something was weird with that. Like, and I liked what Mick Foley said. The one he goes, man, my first match ever was in front of 300 people. He said, I showed up here and there's like 200 people,
Right.
And he's a big name guy at this point. He's coming, he's Cactus Jack, it's
right.
Just, so, yeah, that was a little concerning, but the guy seemed to have, like they said, he did good with like the marketing. I think they said they really put a little bit of fear in McMahon with the way he was selling his shirts and doing things like that and making money that way.
Well, they didn't seem to.
Paul Orndorff for crying out loud.
Yeah, and they didn't seem to dislike him. That's the thing too. They seem to feel really sad that he. I think listen. Let's just be honest about it. You think the wrestlers didn't like the fact that there was a WCW and a WWF or WWE at the same time? Of course they liked it. First of all, more work. Two companies means more work for more wrestlers and more money and everything. And you even out the playing field. Some of the stuff the wrestlers have today that we have been talking about the last couple of weeks, like maybe a little bit of health insurance, maybe a little bit of insurance on any level, contracts that are actually upheld and things like that, wouldn't happen without competition. Yes, it wouldn't happen. They wouldn't care. Vince would be like, "What are you going to go? Where are you going to go?" Well, now Vince knows. I mean, and I know TNA never really got to this level, but at least there is something out there.
They
like
were
TNA.
close. They could have,
yeah.
They were close, but they didn't. Not to that level, but they were on them guys.
Right. But they're still going.
Same thing. They shoot themselves in the foot. Yeah,
they're still going. I remember WCW went for a long time before somebody came in and really pumped all that money in there and started making it in some. So it could happen again.
Yeah,
it could happen again.
And
Vince
it's sort
is
of
not going to
kind
be
of
around
slowly
forever.
happening with that AEW is slowly. Now with this stuff going on,
T's
it's like
thing?
No, it's Dustin Rhodes, not Dustin.
Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes, yeah. Cody Rhodes put that together with like.
But Booker T's in it, right? He's involved with it. Oh, he's not. Oh,
no, I don't think so.
Unless I thought he was
doing.
Okay.
No, I think he. I know Booker T is doing some. He's what's he doing now? He's training, doing a lot of training now.
Okay, so it's Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes is like,
and actually it was really good at first. I mean, and it's just how the WCW type thing where it's like you get the fans that want to go against the grain too, and they'll support it. The Southern stuff too, but since the COVID thing's been on, they still doing shows, but they're empty arenas or there's only a couple of wrestlers around the ring. And me and my brother were talking about it yesterday. It's not fun to watch.
Well, that's what's happened in WWE too.
Yeah,
so,
it's just not that fun to watch because of the crowd. Like, this is boring. Like, you need that crowd. You need that pop. You need the...
Right.
Now, they've done some interesting stuff, and I give them credit. But, man, I don't know. So, we'll see how that works out. But, yeah, this whole Norm Abrams thing... Or not Norm Abrams. Herb Abrams. This old house. Yeah.
That's a little kayfabe Freudian slip.
Yes,
yeah.
But, the guy had a lot of great ideas. I just think a lot of that, the drugs and the limelight and him wanting to be a big shot and trying to get into the wrestling and really, because they said they never really knew what the hell was going to happen. And then he got to the point where he showed Mick Foley. He's like, wait, watch this. I bet people are going to go crazy over this. And he brings out those boots.
Oh, yeah.
And he had made, and it said UWF. And at that point, like, if I was thinking, if he thinks that people, first off, those 200 people that showed up are really going to be, excited about your boots. You know what I mean? Like, and he lost his ass too on the pay-per-view thing, and it just,
Well, checks started bouncing. That's never going to make you super popular with the wrestlers. They could tell they were a little antsy about that part of it, but they also seemed like they liked him. He must have made good on it eventually because they all seemed to like him.
So.
Up until even though all these things were falling apart, he kept it together somehow. I mean, he kept wrestlers, at least he kept their ear. At least he had enough money or funny money somehow coming from somewhere that that he got it going. But it was interesting. I liked the show. I mean,
when
I
they
think
asked Mick Foley, they said, "What do you think he's going to be? What would you think he would be doing now if he was still around?" He said, "Time."
Right. That was great. I laughed. I laughed out loud when he said, "What would he be doing now?" Time. He was like, "Yeah, that's great. Excellent." So it's a good show. It's a fun show. Again, it's called Dark Side of the Ring, and you don't have to be a wrestling fan, really. I mean, I think if you have any kind of awareness of,
you like,
if you have any kind of awareness like Hulk Hogan or anybody like that, just watch it. I mean, I'll watch a hockey documentary. We've talked about it. I don't watch hockey. I don't know nothing about hockey. I don't even know all the rules. You know, but I'll watch a documentary and be like, oh, that's interesting. You know, they're human interest stories is what they are.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they're really cool to watch. Yep. And you're watching it from a world that's very shrouded in mystery. And it's not as much now as it was then. And it really was then. So it's very interesting to watch. Now, you said that you also, you got a hold of the Lighthouse. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. And so you got your eyeballs on it. And I tried to explain to you that you'd find it. This is what I thought. I remember telling you that you'll like the accuracy of everything. I don't know if you'll like the rest of it, but you won't hate it. But I think they'll be distracting enough to you to see the Lighthouse and everything going on enough. And the acting is very good in it.
Yeah, and it was, Tim. And I put this on while I was working on one of my snooty birdhouses. My Jaws birdhouse. You know what I mean? So just to kind of put myself in the mood too.
Right.
But I went into this thinking I was going to like it a lot more than I actually ended up liking it. But I mean, I still did enjoy it. But I will say, like, man, basically when it starts off, it shows them being, they're just switching Lighthouse.
Right.
Really, they're just going and relieving the next guys for. And I think they're only out. They're supposed to be out there 60 days or something.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be very long. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But oh my God, Tim, I love the ocean and I love lighthouses and boats and everything about the ocean. But I swear to God, if that foghorn would have been going the whole movie, I'd have lost my mind. Dude, 5 minutes into that movie, I was like, no wonder these guys are going to go crazy because that foghorn is going to drive them insane.
Right.
And I was to the point, I was like, God, I hope this is not in the whole movie because I'll lose my mind.
Right.
I will lose it.
Right.
But you know what? It added to to the beginning of the movie. It did. Yeah. It even put me on edge. I'm like, oh God, man. But I really did enjoy it. I think it was good. I just think it needed the way these style movies go, Tim, and because you watch The Witch and or whatever. It's just the payoff. It's okay, but then again, it's like I don't know, man. You're giving me way too much and too long for the payoff, almost. You know what I mean? But the acting in it was awesome, man. Willem Dafoe, man, I think he was as good as he's ever been in any movie ever. Yeah. I mean, wow.
And Robert Pattinson's good in it too, I think.
He is too, and you feel bad for him because he doesn't want to talk to him. He doesn't want to relate, doesn't want to talk to him, and Dafoe's character keeps poking him to the point where, but then you feel like, well, maybe you should be talking. You guys are going to be out here for a while. You need to talk, but nothing ever really goes right, and then the fact that Dafoe's character won't let him go up to the light and just makes him do all the shit work and all the grunt work, but never lets him up to the light is weird throughout the whole movie. You're like, this is weird. And I mean, there's just some weird stuff that happens in the movie. But overall, I did like it, but it's not one that I'm going to probably go back and watch a lot of times.
No. It's shot really interesting. Remember I told you it was shot really narrow, like in a square. And
there's some fish sex in it too, Tim.
Oh, God, I know. At least it's like that was a little bit more like, I don't know. It was metaphorical. It wasn't like
totally.
It wasn't real. So, but that was kind of frustrating too because, and this is what I don't want to call it cheat, but this is the new version of nothing really is happening. Yes. And they used to do this with ghost movies where like there would be like a gothic mystery. And what they would do is they would throw jump scares and like false scares into it and wrap it around a mildly supernatural-y story.
Yeah.
So they would be like, was that a ghost or was that just a person scaring themselves? You don't really know. But the whole point is they're trying to get to a mystery, a gothic mystery.
Right.
This, on the other hand, is sort of like, it's like that. Except there's really not much of a mystery, and if they do, it's really never fulfilled for you. You never really know. No, there's not a climax. The movie itself is, I mean, by definition, these are anticlimactic films. I mean, these modern films, like you mentioned, The Witch is very much like that. I would go with Heredity is like this too. Yeah. These movies that it's a new style of film. I get it. I know a lot of young people like it. It's their generation. This is their moment. It's their stuff. That's cool. I don't know. I'm more into the story part of it. I'm more into the story.
Yeah, I would have liked, because there was supposedly some supernatural stuff or whatever was going on. I would have preferred a little bit more of that. Even maybe some more attacks from the birds or something, man. Or
yeah, it was a lot
I
of
think you just
seagulls
needed a little bit
stuff.
more. Yeah, of that would have been fine by me. Now the ending's pretty shocking. You're like, oh wow, whoa, it's. And I will say, once he, I don't want to give it away, but there's some. It was the last minute or so is pretty shocking. Not shocking, but you're like, wow, whoa, man. But then it's just gone. It's over. You're like, oh, okay, well. But Tim, I'm glad I watched. I'm glad they do make movies like this still. I want to see, like, I like the fact it was in black and white. It was about to see, and it was kind of like an old style movie, like an old
little bit, yeah.
I mean,
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. Let's put it this way: I liked it a lot more than Hereditary, and I liked it a lot more than. I don't want to say. I don't know if I liked it a lot more than The Witch. I can't say that. I just hated the end of The Witch so much. It was just like, okay, whatever. I don't know. Yeah. It seemed like it made the whole movie a waste of time. I didn't feel like The Lighthouse was a waste of time.
No.
And it wasn't trying to trick you.
It's a total descent in madness, too.
It is.
There's these guys, man. You're like, whoa, man. And you feel like, because the one guy, Defoe's character, that is his life. That's his wife, that lighthouse. That's why he loves that lighthouse. He loves it, man. Really. And there's something fishy about it.
Right. And then part of the drama, and the internal drama, is like you kind of want them to get along. And there's every opportunity for them to get along. And they do a little bit. They start getting along. And then, so really, it's their relationship that's the tension of the film. Yeah. And the Lighthouse is putting pressure on their relationship and the tension and everything. Yes. And that's the thing. Yes, there's a bad storm, and this is a true story. There's a bad storm, and they get stuck out there way longer than they're supposed to be out there because it's a freak storm. It just keeps going and going and going. Yeah. But anyway, it was like I said. I'm glad you watched and got to see it. It is on Prime. I don't know how you saw it, but
I watched it on Prime. But
So it's pretty.
And it was good, and it looked good too. It looked really good. But damn that foghorn.
You got anything else, or you want to jump into the official film for this week?
Real quick, Tim. I did watch Rambo: Last Blood.
Oh, so you saw that too? That was also on Prime, right?
Yes, I liked about 3/4 of it. The last, half hour, I was like, it was okay.
Did you agree with me that it did not need to be a Rambo film? It just it kind of reminds me of Alien 3, how they just kind of ignore everything and try to start it over again in a way.
Yeah, because it could have just been something called, I think it would have been better if it wasn't Last Blood.
I agree.
It would have just been called something else, and it had been the same story.
Right.
Same exact story, which I thought was good. The only thing it felt like Rambo to me was when he would shoot his bow and arrow, or he'd have his flashbacks. Other than that, it didn't really. Because I really liked, seriously, the first 3/4 of that movie. I was like really into it. I was like, this is good. And then all of a sudden,
not easy to watch.
And then it turned into a Friday the 13th, like part 8 or some type thing at the end. Like, okay, all right, then, okay, well, I don't know. And it made me really sad. And I actually was talking to my brother. He called me and I said, he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm finishing up this Last Blood. He goes, oh, wow. And I remember my brother, who's not a big movie guy, telling me, I said, now, I remember you coming home and telling me about First Blood. He said, yep, I saw it over at the, that mommy place that you've seen, that mommy in the old theater. And I remember him coming home and saying, man, this is a great movie. And I remember seeing it and loving First Blood. I love it way more than any other Rambo movie.
It's a great film. We've talked about this because it is not a Rambo film. It is a movie. It's a film. It's a story. It doesn't intend to have a sequel. It's supposed to be just a story. Yeah.
Yes, and a great story. So I just was sad at the end. It made me want to watch First Blood. So we'll see.
We just saw First Blood. Remember, I think we talked in the last year or so. I remember reporting back here in the show that we watched First Blood, and it holds up. It's a great film. It's a great film. By all means, go back. Go back and see that. Sure. And I kind of agree with you about this one. It's almost like an unnecessary Rambo movie. And I told you, and you're sort of barking up the same tree I was, that Sylvester could have done a movie and called it something different. His character could have been called Gern Blanstein or something, and it would have been fine. It would have been something totally different, because it really doesn't do anything to push him forward. It doesn't. No. Like, how'd you get? You were just like. You were on like a raft taking people down a river like in Indonesia or something.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago. Now you're an expert with horses and stuff. What's going on? And that stuff. That stuff kind of like. So, well, let's get to. Hey, let's tell you what. Let's get run a little long. Let's get to our official film for this week, Mr. Ben Harley. Let's see here from 2006. This is, as you say, like the future for us. Reviewing films. We have the movie from New Zealand. We have the film Black Sheep. This is not the Chris Farley film. Okay, no. This is 2006's Black Sheep from New Zealand. Let me get you out, movie guy, and give you a short one-sentence storyline here. Here we go. You ready? Here we go. An experiment in genetic engineering turns harmless sheep into bloodthirsty killers that terrorize a sprawling New Zealand farm. So there's this movie. Let's just put the sheep. They're sheep. It's like Omnibaba is like grass everywhere. Yeah. There's sheep everywhere. This is a sheep-centric film.
It sure is.
There are sheep and wool-like products everywhere you look. So there's a sheep farm.
Yes.
And they're genetically tampering with the sheep, that's never a good idea. It's never really almost anything you do with sheep is not a good idea except shaving them. That's the only right. And sometimes that's not a good idea either. No. So there's a young fella, I guess the hero, the star of the film, and he has made his way in life and has gone off, and he's coming back to the family farm. And clearly, immediately, he has a fear of sheep.
Yes, because of his brother.
Yeah, this is like Night of the Lepus with sheep instead of bunny rabbits. Okay, so he comes back and then go ahead.
Like what had happened is because what had happened is him and his brother had grown up on the farm with their father and the one lady, and they were helping with their father, and his brother's a dickhole.
Sure is.
What a dick. Mm-hmm. And so the kid does. He actually takes what's left of a part of a sheep and puts it on him, and he scares his brother, scares him to death. And then right after that,
the older brother mentally scars him with practical jokes about sheep, and it gives him a fear of sheep on a sheep farm of all things. Yeah.
And what happened is right after that happened, the one lady who was helping raise him, or the aunt, or I can't remember who she was, the caretaker or whatever, she said there's been an accident and it's your father. So then their dad died. Right. They find out about that. So then it goes to the future of him coming back to the farm with his fear of sheep, full in effect.
Right.
And basically surrounded in his taxi by sheep. Oh man! Right. So it does give you a sense of him really having this fear at first.
Right. And so they're setting you up. So they got the brothers back together and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere,
buy his brother out of the farm.
Yes,
younger brother.
Right. Yeah. This is all. Yeah, that's kind of the MacGuffin. They're kind of they're trying to sell the farm and make money, and he wants to pay his brother off, and his brother doesn't want to do it. It's just it's sort of a little side story that gets people together in order for the chaos to ensue. Sure. So what really happens is that some hippie PETA activist dude.
Love it.
They're sneaking around the farm because they know that the genetic engineering going on is no good.
Yeah.
So the guy runs up and out of nowhere physically steals a sheep. An experimental sheep embryo.
Yeah,
they have these embryos in these little canisters, thermos type things. Yeah. And so and they're out in the wide open. Okay, and there's all these people trying to all these important, dangerous looking people messing around with these thermoses of genetically engineered sheep embryos. And here comes old hippie Hartmeyer running down, and he grabs one of them and goes running back. And basically he gets infected then. He gets bit by a little sheep monster thing inside there. And then he starts turning into a were-sheep.
Yes.
And then the whole place starts turning into were-sheep. The sheep the sheep go crazy, and then when they attack the people, it's like a zombie movie with sheep.
Yeah, with sheep.
Yeah, basically. The sheep are zombies, and they can turn people into zombies. And the people zombies can turn the sheep into zombies as well.
Yes.
So it's jumped the sheep barrier.
Yeah. and what's funny is the sheep really, I tell you, they don't do much in the movie, Tim, but run around. Mm-hmm. But they show shots of them and stuff, and it made me feel like This is like what Alfred Hitchcock did with the birds.
Yeah,
man.
you're right.
Seriously, all of a sudden you'll see the sheep, and you're like, ooh, oh my God.
Yeah.
They ain't doing nothing. It's just sitting there. But the way the music is and the way they cue it and stuff, and the way it's like, oh my God, yeah, there he is. Oh shit, and it makes them. And I kept laughing to myself, thinking, these things don't even look mean or bloodthirsty or nothing. But I'm buying this completely. You know what I mean? And I thought, this is great, and it really helped me out throughout the movie. I was like, oh, I love this, man, and it actually is. It is kind of kooky at times, and basically you have like the three main characters, like the two friends. And then that girl who was with the hippie.
Yeah, there was a girl with the hippie guy, and then she ends up meeting up with the two brothers. There's a cousin, right? Is that his cousin? Yeah. So there's like another character who's kind of like a fun-loving kind of guy character. Yeah. So there's a cousin who you kind of like, and the brother's a dickhole. Yeah. The brother's a dick, but then the younger brother has a buddy that also works on a farm. I believe he was a cousin, and and so the three of them kind of are like little Scooby-Doo gang of people that go around and try to figure out what's going on and then try to defend themselves from the marauding maniac sheep. So basically, you have a bit of a zombie outbreak, but it's sheep. Yeah. And look, it's just a zany movie. I think if you're listening to us and we're saying, okay, sheep and genetically engineered sheep turn people into were sheep, and then the were sheep people can also turn them. I mean, you have a bunch of killer sheep and killer were sheep. People that are half sheep, half people. So we got that. So you can imagine the zaniness, the trauma-inspired zaniness going on. However, bringing up the trauma thing, this is something very important. Yeah. And ad nauseum Angio, if she was sitting right now, she would say, "Oh, he talked about this through the whole fucking movie. I missed half of it because I did talk about this through most of the movie." Yeah. And this is very important because much more than even talking about the synopsis of the film or what it's about, the movie's played straight.
Totally.
And what you're talking about with Alfred Hitchcock and the birds is exactly the same thing.
Yes.
The birds look scarier and meaner than sheep. That's the only difference between the two. And a bird probably has a better chance of hurting you than a sheep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take your eyes out.
But not that a sheep can't defend itself. It is an animal. It can't bite you. It can't kick you. I mean, this and that. So anybody who's had their clothes eaten by a goat, those little stupid animals can really piss you off and really get it under your skin. So the thing is that people today who are making films that are homages to these goofy movies, they're all missing the same thing. And I told Angio this. I said, I mentioned some friends of ours that make films and stuff. I said, they could all take a bit of advice from this. Stop being self-aware. Mm-hmm. The movie wasn't self-aware. They made this movie. Look, the effects people did the Lords of the Rings trilogy. They made a good movie. These people said, I'm going to take this script and I'm going to make the best movie out of this script I can. And they did. And they did. And so what happened? It actually is hilarious because they're not trying to be hilarious. And I'll give you a good example. Leslie Nielsen.
Yes.
An Airplane. And Naked Gun. What made him so funny? He wasn't trying to be funny.
No, he was being
himself. He played it straight.
Straight, yeah.
And it made it 10 times funnier because he was not aware. It was not self-aware. It was just And
how
movies,
clumsy and goofy he was. Yeah.
Yes. Now you take a movie like Scream that became completely self-aware.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that for what it was. But the movie like this, but that was a slasher film. This is a movie about were-sheep. Okay? You don't need to make it goofier than what it is. The joke is the high concept.
It's already there.
Yes.
It's already there.
And that's what, the better it's done, the funnier it becomes.
Yeah. And Tim, that's what I like. I mean, okay, so like about 3/4 of this movie I thought was like the most brilliant thing. Mm-hmm. Now there's about 1/4 of it that I was, kind of got trauma-esque or Sharknado-ish, a little bit. And I was like, and it pulled me away a little. But that's okay. I mean, come on. It's about killer sheep. So I had to kind of chill out a little bit. But like...
you did, yeah.
Oh, Tim, but I'm going to tell you, now Mr. Ben Harley gets down sometimes. He gets himself down. He gets in the downy dumps. And sometimes his body takes abuse from working too much and not being... happy, and, so sometimes I'll have a fit of laughter. And I think it's a part of my body just trying to strike back.
Your descent into madness, right?
Yeah, well, no, I just think it's my body trying to shock myself into feeling good again. Like, no, we need this. We need a good laugh. You know how it is. When you have a good time, you and your friends, you're out and you laugh all night. The next day, you're like, man, boy, I feel good.
When in doubt, grab Timo's stack of movies. There's something in there that's going to blow my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, so Tim, there's a part in the film where they're in the one cousin's truck and they're trying, when they get in the truck, the two of them get in the bed, the main character and the girl, and then the cousin gets in the front of the truck. And there's a sheep in there, and they take off, and they don't know what's going on. He's trying to fight the sheep in the front of the cab. Right.
So there's a guy and a sheep in the front fighting while the truck is moving, and there's two people in the back. In the back.
Yeah. So then, So then he finally crawls out, and he crawls into the back, of the truck, and they're like, "Oh, shoo!" Well, they're like, "Well, who's driving?" And it's the sheep. And they show the sheep, and he's driving, and then they were about to go off a cliff, right? And they all jump out. Even the dog jumps out of the bed of the truck. Everybody's saved, but the sheep goes over the cliff. And Timo, it does the part where it kind of looks like, it's going over a cliff. And then as it's going over the cliff, they have the actual, like a dummy sheep in there bouncing around. And it's like, and then it just goes like, as it goes over the cliff. And Tim, that hit me so hard that I could not breathe. I was laughing so hard. I couldn't breathe. And I rewound it probably 10 times. And Tim, my eyes, actually, by the time it was all said and done, the salt from my tears of laughing had burnt the side of my face because I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard. I kept rewinding it. And then it was just funnier every time because I'm like, oh, who's driving? It's the sheep. And then it goes off the cliff. And I mean, this is Three Stooges, simple stuff, but it made me, I don't know if I've ever laughed so hard in my life. I could not, I couldn't breathe. And I know every time I rewind it, I'm doing it to myself again, but oh my God, Tim, what a joy. I swear to God, buddy. That to me was like the joy of this film is it just made me, I lost control of my,
your faculties were gone.
Yes. Oh my God, I couldn't stop. Well, to the point where I was just like, you can't, you're laughing so hard you can't even hear. You can't hear sound coming out of you because you're laughing.
Well, but then that's the thing. You had just had your mind had enough. And it was just like it had enough because I mean you're not getting. The movie's not really in on the joke. I mean, there's characters in it. There's characters like the old lady's hilarious in it because she's a little off her rocker, awesome. And that's always great.
Tough too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's always great too. And she's making the what was it the what they call mountain oysters.
Yeah,
mountain oysters. They were mountain oysters were sheep balls. And she was trying to feed her by mountain oysters. There's just little moments like that are in it that are funny, but the movie is not. It's not trying. Listen. The movie's not trying to be a crutch to the script. It's not trying to do something that's not there. I mean, this is the brilliance of these movies. I'm telling you, this is why I love the movies from the 50s. This is why I love this stuff because they're trying to make an entertaining movie out of what they got. And and these shots took a while to set up. The lighting's good. It's shot nicely. It's beautiful. I mean, the scenery and landscape are beautiful. New Zealand is
Beautiful.
And it's on display. This movie looks like the people from Lord of the Rings who made it. All right. They got really high and drunk one night and wrote a script and then woke up and were forced to make the film sober.
Yeah.
Okay. And they looked at this like, I'm not making this piece of shit. Are you kidding me? I was drunk. I'm not. No, you promised you're going to make it. And then they're like, well, okay. So they went and made the best movie they could. And in spite of it. And that's what it feels like. And that's what the best comedies, the best horror comedy, that's what it is. It's not self-aware. You're like, you gotta be kidding me. The sheep is, I mean, these people are, they're turning into weird sheep, and it's threatening, and they're threatening.
Looked good too. Yeah. When he was full on were sheep was pretty cool looking, man. It was well done. Mm-hmm. It looked very well done. They put a lot of time and effort into that.
Right.
Like alone, which I was impressed. I was blown away.
By it's made with a lot of craftsmanship. It's made with a lot of care. It's made very well. You go back to, The God Monster of Indian Flats. If you remember the giant sheep monster, what was so funny about that is that they weren't trying to make it funny. Somebody really thought that was going to be scary or that was going to work. Somebody really thought that this all made a lot of sense. And that's what made it so good. And that's another thing. Like, and again, if Angie was sitting here, was like, he told me all of this throughout the entire movie. But if you look at these movies, though, it's an Ed Wood thing. The reason Ed Wood movies are so funny is not because they're bad. There's a lot of bad movies that are a pain to watch, bad. And we reviewed a lot of those. Ed Wood thought he was making genius films.
Yeah,
he thought he was doing that this was going to be a great idea. Herb Abrams. He was the Herb Abrams of movie. He thought that this, because the boots, people are going to go wild when they see this. It's like, no, they're going to laugh, but that's the point. That's the point. Who cares if it's intentional or not? And so what they did is they left the humor unintentionally. If that makes any sense to you at all. But they played it straight and therefore making it funnier. And they did. This is the genius of Airplane and Naked Gun and the Zucker Brothers and stuff like that. They play stuff straight and it's just insane. It's insane what's happening. And the joke is that nobody's in on the joke but the audience. Mm-hmm. And that's hilarious. And it's fun. It's fun to sit there and let yourself talk about a mental vacation.
Oh, yeah.
And I always use movies like Kramer versus Kramer. You can watch shit like that if you want to get depressed all day long. I'll watch Black Sheep or I'll watch something like this and enjoy myself.
I'll tell you, Tim, I'm not kidding you. My face I had to put lotion on the corners of my eyes when I went to bed that night because I burnt my face from laughing.
Did you get it sent down to you in a bucket?
Yeah. It puts the lotion on its eyes.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a load of fun.
Oh man, I enjoyed it, Tim. Going in, like it showed some of the stuff at the beginning. I was like really into it, and then they showed a couple things at the beginning. I'm like, oh, I don't know, and then I'm like, no, this is great. There's only a couple things I didn't like, but that's me, and it had to do with like some of the computer generated stuff, and the guy was like shaking his head and he'd turn into something, and he'd shake his head and he'd turn to something else. I didn't like that. That was a little too Beetlejuicy, type shit. But other than that, man, just a 10. A 10.
Yeah, man. This is kind of like, it floats around up there with like Rare Exports, Troll Hunter, where all those movies are played totally straight, and that's the brilliance of them. And it's just the idea of what's going on is completely out of bounds, out of whack. Right. What's going on, So, and I love those kinds of movies. Deadpan humor, man. Deadpan humor, nothing like it. Nothing like Inspector Clouseau type of humor, and stuff. So, big Great Ape Up. Yeah, I'm going to throw this one. I'm going to put it to the rafters too. This is a great film. Now, as far as getting the film, that's another story. I do believe it is out on DVD. If we ever get to have a convention again, a horror convention, you will be able to find this on DVD Bob's table as a super special, if you know what I mean. Okay. So it's not very easy to find, but these movies tend to find their way back into the public consciousness and collections, DVD collections as time goes on. This will be re-released on Blu-ray and stuff eventually. Until then, it is available if you look on Amazon stuff, but also DVD Bob's super special, so we can find. So, all right, 2 Grape Apes up to the rafters.
Yes, much fun.
For Black Sheep. Remember, this is a 2006 Black Sheep, not the David Spade and Chris Farley Black Sheep, which is a fun movie too. But
it's a fun movie too,
this is much so.
But this is way different.
Absolutely. So, all right, well, Mr. Ben Harley, I do know what we're doing next week, and you're going to have to peek through the door. You have to peek through the door to find out what that is. I'm going to just leave it right there. So we're going to be peeking through doors next week. But until then, Mr. Ben Harley, keep it safe and friendly out there and stay spooky. And we will talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.